Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. The Stars win Game 1 of the Western Conference Final using 3 third-period power play goals back to back to back in a 5-goal third period to storm back and stun the Edmonton Oilers in Game 1. I'm Chris, joined with my brothers James and Ryan. Guys, what did y'all think of that insane game?
I was flabbergasted. I'll steal a word from Sam. He said it was speechless. I don't think I've ever seen a game like that before in my lifetime. And just the pure ups and downs in the third period alone were tremendous. And everything that we talked about, Chris, in our last episode, everything came to fruition today. All of it. We talked about the power play and how different the stats look from last year compared to this year. We talked about how our middle six forwards have to be way better. And I'll give you a hint. We scored 6 goals tonight, and Mikko Rantanen got 1 point. And then we also talked about how our goaltending has to be better than what it was in last year's Western Conference Final. And I would say that all 3 of those, hat trick of making sure that all 3 of those things were done, and it was really only done, Chris, in really the third period, other than the goaltending thing. I thought Otter was fantastic through the first 2 periods. But, I mean, there's so many different ways you could go with this game. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we're officially playing the Oilers, right? Anything can happen at any point in time, no matter which team it is. It is. We just did to the Oilers what the Oilers had done 4 games, 5 games, 6 games straight earlier in their 8-game winning streak.
Exactly.
And just took over the third period. And you could say out of the penalties, like maybe the hooking against Marchment, that one's kind of weak, but you can't put your stick in people's faces. That's not allowed. You can't do that.
Are pretty easy to call.
Yeah, and right in front of the refs too. Those are easy calls. And the fact that the Stars end up scoring 3 power play goals within 5 minutes and 30 seconds, pretty much. That is, it is not just crazy for the Stars. It's also crazy undisciplined from the Oilers.
Yep, and that's a good thing we need to key on. You're right, Ryan. They did do all the things we kind of talked about in our little preview, but if we're calling a spade, the Oilers blew this one. They dominated the first 2 periods of this game. They were the better team 5-on-5 for the majority. I would say the Stars definitely got better in the third period 5-on-5 after switching some lines back, but the Oilers blew it. I mean, that kind of undisciplinedness at the very beginning, and then we know their PK has been bad all playoffs, but I mean, that's horrible. You give up 3 power play goals in the most crucial time in the game. That's insane.
And to be completely honest with you, that is actually something that both Duchesne and Seguin both talked about. They said that, yeah, it was a terrible way they played, but they still found a way to win.
Right.
And at the end of the day, if the Stars are able to hoist the Stanley Cup, they're not going to remember Game 1 of the Western Conference Final alone. They're going to remember that they won 16 games to win the Stanley Cup. So this is something that the Stars need to learn from, and I know that seems crazy talking about it after a 6-3 win, but they cannot play the exact same way on Friday and expect to win. It's not going to happen. The Oilers are not going to let a game like that happen.
I think they're reaping the rewards of the lessons they had already learned in this playoffs. I mean, this team has been like quintessential find a way to win. This is the only team left in the playoffs that has a negative goal differential. Maybe not anymore. But, I mean, this team finds ways to win hockey games. And, yeah, the Oilers gave them a bunch of power plays in that third period, but they took advantage. They scored on all 3 of them. It is crazy good clutch gene that the team has shown, and it's been done in so many different ways, and this time it comes from the power play.
Yeah, and this is kind of the thing that we've been talking about with the Stars for most of the year. We're like, oh, they haven't played their best game yet. But they just keep finding ways to win. That's just what they've been doing, and it's continued into the playoffs. They just find ways to win more than they lose, and that's all you have to do to win a Stanley Cup.
We got a super chat from Ryan Gardner, if you can bring that one up, Ryan. He said 2 words, depth scoring. He's giving $10 to each of us or Ryan gas money. Ryan needs the gas money this time. Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate it. He said, I'm giving this super chat again on a deep, intimate, and personal level. And yeah, Ryan, I love you very personally. And thank you very much, Ryan. That's awesome. And for sure, depth scoring is the key here. And I mentioned specifically depth scoring at 5-on-5, and Tyler Seguin is the one who gets that done here tonight. The 2 goals, the breakaway goal. I mean, they asked a question in the press conference that looked like vintage Tyler Seguin just peeling away from the pack, and it absolutely did. And it's a perfect shot right above the pad, right below the glove. I mean, Tyler Seguin had a fantastic game tonight, even when he was on a line that didn't look great.
Yeah, I thought he had an absolutely fantastic game. He got to that execution part that he's been missing for a while. I mean, he's had chances left and right. He hit the post in Game 6, I believe, of that Jets series, and he's done it multiple times like that. And this is just the game where he finally figured it out, and he's able to click 2 in, not just 1. He does steals goal, but.
Yeah, I was about to say he jacked that goal from Sam Steele, and you could even see on the bench right after they had scored, Sam Steele sitting on the bench, and he's like, I think someone further down the bench was like, oh, he stole that from you, right? And Sam Steele was just like, I don't care. He went in the net. We're up by 2. That was awesome. And honestly, this is another game where someone else other than Mikko Rantanen or Thomas Harley steps up, or Jake Ottinger for that matter. I mean, Jake Ottinger was still very good. But when they needed a timely goal, it was Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin got the breakaway. Like, when he got it, I turned to the guy to my left, and I was just like, he has to score here or the Stars are in a lot of trouble. And he did. And the Stars did not deserve to be tied at that point in the game. It was 1-1 going into the first intermission. There was no way, no chance that it should have been tied at that point.
Scooping up a couple more super chats. I missed one early from Nate G. The always constants. The Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Thank you, Nate. We appreciate that. Always consistent. And then our other brother Zach gave 444. He said, "Miro is my hero." Yeah, Miro Heskanen was absolutely fantastic. I mean, we saw him break out in Game 6 of the Jets series. That we said when that game ended. That looks like Miro Heskanen. He looks like he's back. He looked the exact same tonight, and that has to be absolutely terrifying for the Edmonton Oilers. He leads the entire game with time on ice with a little over 24, and Thomas Harley's right next to him also with 24, just a few seconds less.
Yeah, and I really hope we see those times stay close together too. The 24-24 like that, they're both very lethal. I felt like the Oilers were respecting Harley a lot more, and Heiskanen just took all that was left up after it. I mean, he looked stellar. He shoots from the point. It's screened in front, but it's a goal. And that's kind of what he ends up doing in the playoffs. He finds way to get on the score sheet over and over and over again.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Ryan.
I was literally going to ask both Duchesne and Seguin about Miro Heiskanen, because that was something I noticed. I mean, obviously he gets the goal tonight, and I had the perfect view from where he shot it. I was right up in the top corner, far away from the offensive zone in the third period, and you could see exactly the vision that Miro Heiskanen had. And then the other thing that I saw on top of that from him was he just looked otherworldly in just the third period alone. And I know that seems crazy because he got... I'll be honest. The speed of the Edmonton Oilers kind of beat us a little bit tonight, especially in the first
I think it cut
periods.
everyone off guard.
But it specifically beat Thomas Harley a couple times, and it beat Miro about once or twice. There's only one I can think of off the top of my head. But in the third period, when it really mattered the most, again, there's someone that steps up and says, "Hey, I'll take it," and he did it on the power play. Obviously, but even more importantly, he did it on the defensive side in the third period. There were numerous times where we saw Miro Heiskanen just completely obliterate any kind of offensive potential that the Edmonton Oilers had in the third period. He was just there. He finally looked like Miro Heiskanen on both sides of the puck. That makes me extremely excited. Also because, and as good as Miro Heiskanen was, we could turn on the other side and say Harley kind of had a rough game here tonight as well.
Right. Yeah, in the beginning for sure, but I think he even got better as the game went along too. It definitely felt like Dallas had to feel this one out, and it kind of makes sense because of how different the Edmonton Oilers are from the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets are consistently moving through the offensive zone, getting pucks deep, setting up a cycle. I mean, Edmonton will go blow for blow with you on rush chances, and that's what they did through the first two periods here tonight. And the Stars D were not ready for it. One other thing I noticed in the third period, and I wonder if this was just part of all the line shuffling that was going on because of the extra men and the special teams and us trying to change up lines, but it looked like Miro and Harley were kind of pulled off and put on separate pairs a few times there. I wonder if you guys noticed that, and if you think that would be a good solution to try and take on whenever McDavid and Draisaitl are on separate lines.
I would like to see that more moving forward when the two big guys for Edmonton are split up as well, if that makes any sense. Anytime there is if they can get away with it, especially at home, if they see both Leon and Connor come out together, which we saw several times, especially in the first period, they were out there for extended periods of time in our own zone. That's when I want to see both Harley and Miro out there together, is when both of those guys are out there. But if they're split up, do the same thing with them when they're split up, because I think we can handle them moving forward, but they've still got to be better, both of them.
Yeah, I think if you split them up, I think it's less of containing McDavid and Draisaitl and more of an offensive threat, honestly. Because CC with Harley looked okay, it worked. And if that can continue to work, then you have two D pairings with an elite scoring defenseman on it.
And the thing I think it helps with most is just getting the puck out of our own zone. I mean, you go look at the numbers for CC and Essa tonight, they could not move the puck out of their own side of the ice. And I think having Harley and or Miro there is going to help with that transition and make sure that Edmonton isn't able to hem us in with their forecheck, which was fantastic through those first two periods, especially on that pair. We got another super chat from Connor. He said, from Vancouver in the series, Dallas, make sure Berlin erects a statue of dried up Seidel crying in the fetal position on top of the Brandenburg Gate, which that is quite the image, Connor, but we appreciate it. I love you, even though you're from Vancouver and you gave us Canadian dollars instead of the good old American ones. But I think the sentiment is heard. But to Draisaitl's credit, he was fantastic tonight. He was insane. Wyatt Johnston was put up against him in the first couple of periods, and he got kind of ragdolled. I mean, it did not look good. What do you think the solution is to try and help that a little bit?
For Draisaitl?
Yeah, against Draisaitl. What's the solution? I mean, he was doing whatever he wanted tonight.
Play in the offensive zone. I mean, the way that the Edmonton Oilers are playing right now is that the best defense is a good offense. And through the first 40 minutes, Dallas did not really test Stuart Skinner that much. And when they did, it was a very simple little grab glove from Stuart Skinner, and that was it. And now it did help that we got the power plays and everything like that, but they were able to run the momentum there. That is something that has got to change throughout the game in Game 2, is that the Stars have got to get more pucks on net. They've got to make it harder for Stuart Skinner and not just easy little flick grab gloves from Stuart Skinner, because that's all he was doing for the first two periods. They were making his life very, very easy, the Edmonton defensive team structure, and then the Stars were not doing anything really to make his life harder.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. You look at the goals that Dallas scored in that 3 power play goal kind of fiasco. The Miro Heskainen one was with a great screen in front. I believe it was Mason Marchment who set that screen, and Skinner goes down to butterfly pretty quick, leaves a lot of open room up top, and that's right where Miro Heiskanen puts it. And then for the Mikael Granlund goal as well, Robo is right in front, takes the eyes away, he drops to the butterfly, tons of room up high, and that's right where Granlund puts it with, I mean, goodness, we knew Granlund's shot was fantastic from the Four Nations, but these past, 4 games, it's been ridiculous how good it is. So you're absolutely right. They got to make Skinner's job hard, and when they did that, Skinner made the Stars' job easy.
Yeah. And I think that it proves it even more on the Stars' fourth goal. The third power play goal in that period, Skinner lost the puck on that play completely. I mean, if you go back and watch them, as Duchesne is corralling the puck, Skinner is still looking the wrong direction. It's how Duchesne is able to shoot it into Hintz and get it back and shoot it again and still get the goal.
Right.
Skinner had no clue where it was. He lost it completely.
Yeah, Duchesne even said post-game he was shocked that he still had an open net to look at after completely whiffing the first one into into Rope's butt. So yeah, I agree. He was really swimming there. And I think obviously those two quick goals got to him a little bit. Maybe the crowd got to him a little bit. And for sure the traffic got to him.
Chris, can we go back to something real quick?
Yeah.
I really do want to talk about the breakouts for a second, because there were at points when the Stars were able to take care of breakouts. And in the first period in particular, the first 7 minutes, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified because the forecheck of the Edmonton Oilers was absolutely ridiculous. And it wasn't really necessarily what the Stars were doing. It was just what Edmonton was doing. And if they're going to face something like that, and they fixed it a little bit in the second period, and it got a lot better in the third period as well. But when you're facing a team like this, you have got to use a little bit more speed, and you can't hold on to the puck for too long, because you are going to have those opportunities where they're just going to come after you. And that's something that the Stars have got to be better at, is just because they've got speed of their own. They might not have the same speed as the Edmonton Oilers. In fact, I know they don't have the same speed as the Edmonton Oilers in a lot of cases, but they've got to be able to make quicker passes and rely upon instinct rather than just constantly surveying the play and taking too long to make a decision. They need to be faster with making their decisions with the breakouts.
That's definitely a point where the Stars coaching staff needs to step in, and where they have in previous series. You remember the Avs, they were pretty much doing the same thing to the Stars in that first game. I mean, we could not get out of their own zone. And then as the series progressed, it got easier and easier for Dallas to get out. And you'd think that'd be the opposite. You think, oh, well, they were hammering the D and making their life tough. No, the Stars got better as that series went along. So that's definitely something that the Stars coaching staff is going to have an impact in, and look for it in game 2 to see what their response is to that forecheck. So you're absolutely right there, Ryan.
Yeah, and truly, it might have just been a whole story of the Stars just weren't ready for that speed at all. I mean,
they clearly weren't.
They, especially going from the Jets. I mean, the Jets have some fast players on it, but they do not utilize speed the same way that the Oilers do. And it might have just been a little shell shock, and it took them a little bit to get used to it. But like Chris said, by the end of the period, they already looked much better.
Yeah. So let's hit back on some more negative stuff, unless y'all have any other positive things you want to talk about on this game.
I do have one positive. And the thing I do want to talk about also is I want to give a lot of credit again to Pete DeBoer and the coaching staff for doing what they did. When they realized it wasn't working, the forward lines they tried to put together, they tried to put Wyatt Johnston on the right side with Duchesne, which makes sense because you're trying to get Duchesne going, you're trying to get Wyatt going a little bit too. When it didn't work, they immediately tried something different. And in the playoffs especially, that is when you have to be quick about making adjustments. And he had a gut reaction, I'm sure Pete DeBoer did, and he immediately changed it. So that is a there you go, Ardell. Perfect. That's a perfect way of saying it. Ardell saying hockey is a game of adjustments. He made the adjustment at the right time, and it allowed the Stars to get at least their play going a little bit better in the second period.
And go ahead, James.
To that point, I think the same thing happened on the power play too. I mean, the Stars' first power play didn't have a shot on it, and then the first half of the second power play, at the end of the second, it didn't look good either. They couldn't even get into the zone. And they came out in the third, and they just went bang, 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 and scored on 3 straight. So that's not coincidence to me that you changed something. I'm sure I didn't see it, but they got in easier, and they made the Oilers pay.
Yep. Credit to our favorite assistant coach, Steve Spott, on that one. But yeah, Ryan, that's exactly where I was going with the lines, is that we saw something brand new tonight. I mean, we didn't see this at all the regular season. It kind of made sense, but we saw the same first line. But then we saw Robo, Duchesne, and Johnston on the second, with Johnston being the winger, Duchesne being the center on that one. Then we saw Mush, Steele, and Seguin on the third, Ben, Beck, Dodonov to start this game. And it looked pretty terrible. And after this, Oilers went up 3-1. It kind of got blended. But then by the time the third period rolled around, it looked like we went back to regular season lines. So you had the same first line, of course, the Mikko, Granlund, Rope. And then it looked like it was Seguin, Duchesne, Marchman again. And then Ben, Johnston, Dodonov. And I think they actually had Robo playing on that fourth line down there. So it looked like old reliable ended up being the right thing in the end. So just line talk in general. Do y'all have any thoughts about, did you like the way it started? Do you like the idea of it at least? And what do you think we need to do next game when it comes to these lines?
It was really interesting for me. I really liked the lines, like just looking at it on paper, but as soon as I saw them, it just didn't make sense. So that's the only thing I have is that I'm just glad that Pete DeBoer, he at least gave it a shot and said, nah, never mind, and erased everything and threw up what he was used to and what he's realized is probably the Stars' best option.
Yeah, and honestly, once Steele kind of settled back into a more comfortable line, I mean, he did that insane
right. That's when he looked better. When he was more comfortable. Yeah.
And that was a ridiculous play from him, and it was while he was on that pseudo fourth line.
Yeah, and that's back-to-back games where Steele has done some incredible skill that we know he has, but he just doesn't show very often. So the confidence with him has got to be building. And who knows? I know we're not going to like Robo being on that fourth line, but if Steele's playing that confident and like, hey, why not? You know?
Yeah.
He should have gotten a goal tonight, let's be honest.
Steele, yeah. Who knows? That one might have missed. Seguin just made sure. He just dunked it.
That's true. And he was also +2 on the night. So even though that, he only gets the one assist tonight, the pseudo goal, he was still out there when good things were happening. So.
Yep. All right. Before we do biggest winner, biggest loser, do you guys have any other things y'all want to hit on?
I mentioned it very briefly, but I want to get y'all's thoughts on it too, on the whole middle six thing. Because it's a stark contrast when you look at the Oilers compared to the Stars. So the Oilers got 3 goals tonight. The only people that have points are 5 people. That's it. 5 people on 3 goals. And it's who you would expect. 93, 97, 29, Eric Bouchard, and then Darnell Nurse is the only guy that's the outlier. He gets an assist. But Bouchard gets a goal. RNH gets a goal and an assist, McDavid with 2 assists, and then Draisaitl with 3 points. Nobody else has a point on the Edmonton Oilers. And that's something that they weren't having through the first 2 rounds. So, at least for now, early on in the series, the question as to what would happen, the Stars' depth showing up or the Edmonton Oilers' depth still continuing to kind of, come out of its shell a little bit. Right now, early on, it's definitely the Stars' middle six that are kind of taking the reins there.
Right, and coming into this series, it kind of felt like both of those things were due in the opposite direction. So it felt like the Stars' depth was due to start scoring. Like, there's no way it doesn't score that much. And then it felt like there's no way the Oilers' depth is going to keep scoring at that knock. And I think that's one thing that a lot of Oilers media was talking about. Hey, if the depth is clicking, it's just going to keep on clicking. They just assumed that was going to happen. And no, the Stars' depth beat the Oilers' depth. And like you said off the top, Ryan, that's one thing that has to happen in this series. It happened so far in game 1. And even though the Stars didn't have their best game, that helped propel them in this first one to steal it.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Edmonton media people are extremely annoying.
How so?
Extremely annoying. Just a couple of guys that were sitting up back behind me, and I'm sort of kind of calling them out. I don't even know their names. They're just definition of gatekeeping your sport, thinking that the South doesn't know about hockey and understand hockey. And then on top of that, just extremely, extremely homerish. Like, I know that's what I do, but I'm a fan podcast. Like, this is what we're supposed to do. It's in our subtitle of our stuff that we have. Okay, so it was it was really annoying to see oh well that wasn't a penalty and blah 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 blah, and when it was clearly a high stick. Okay, I'm not talking about the Duchesne one. The Duchesne one, he sold it, but the
high
other
stick
one,
still.
You still got hit in the face.
He got hit in the face with a stick. That's a high
That's a
stick
penalty.
every single time. And it was right in
Well-
front of the ref. That's the problem. The problem is where it was. I mean, yeah, it happens any other place of the ice. It's probably not called, but it's right in front of his face.
sorry, it was annoying. That's just I had to get that off my chest. It was the most annoying thing of the night.
Mentioning the depth stuff again. The matchup was supposed to be the Oilers top line versus Johnston, Duchesne, and Robertson. That was the matchup. And Johnston, Duchesne, and Robertson lost that matchup hard. I mean, it was not good. But every other lineup, they ended up winning the matchup by the end of the night. So, whereas, yes, the Oilers' big guns came out, no one else did. And this is what you're going to see in this series if that continues. I mean, their depth's going to have to play a little better. And if that happens, then whoever's playing against that top line for the Stars they're going to have to play better as well.
Yeah, just to hammer that home even one more time, the Oilers have 3 forwards with over 20 minutes time on ice. The Stars have none. Mikko Rantanen had 1956.
And Mikko Rantanen was also being double shifted in the second period when they were trying to figure something out. So that's the other thing too is that he was being double shifted in favor of Oscar Beck, and it still didn't look like it was fully getting going. And then they go back to their original lines and it looked great. I did want to do one more super chat, Chris. But this was Connor again. Another $5. Ryan's suit looks dapper, like he's a flustered pilot who's late for his flight, and said, "To heck with it, I'll skip to do this video."
Yeah, we don't need planes anyway.
Nah, we don't need planes.
All right, biggest winner, biggest loser.
I'll let y'all go first.
Okay, biggest winner, Tyler Seguin. He had a great night. Execution was there. Even the dunk. Yes, he kind of steals it from Steele, like it could have gone in, but I mean that's a spectacular hit out of midair too. Yeah. that is some great hand-eye coordination.
Oh, by the way, how about that hit by Marchment during the power play? Oh man, it was a big hit.
Good question, James. Which one? Much was throwing the weight around. I love that.
And if he was playing on the fourth line, that's what you need.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. My biggest winner, I'll let Ryan take his favorite one that he always does, and I'll take Miro Heskanen for the biggest winner. He was fantastic. I mean, so smooth. His skating looks fully back. I know DeBoer mentioned in the post game that he's still waiting for Miro to get back to 100%, and I'm like, what are we talking about? Am I really just misremembering how great Miro is? Because he looks fantastic.
So I think he was specifically talking about the mental side of the game, and even
mentally,
then,
he looks
I'm
great
like,
too.
I'm like, that's what I was just like. It doesn't matter if you're talking about him physically or mentally. I'm like, dude, he had a ridiculous third period. That was amazing. And actually, that was going to be my biggest winner, Chris, was Miro Heiskanen, because especially when the Stars have been able to rely upon Harley so much the last 5 months, and he has a bad game here tonight. I mean, he had some good moments, but in terms of his defensive play, he had some rough things. And it was just it was really nice to see him be able to take over a game like we know he can. And he did it not just defensively like we're used to him doing, but he did it offensively on the power play too tonight.
Well, then I'll throw out an honorable mention as well for Jake Ottinger. It was 3-1. You go into the third period, you have to shut the door. You have to give us a chance. And he absolutely did that. And the Stars took the lead really early in that period. Tons of time to come back. That's the Oilers' favorite thing to do, is to win games that they shouldn't. And he just kept them from doing it. They had several good opportunities there before the 6-on-5. The Stars did a really good job defending that, which was great considering what happened last year in this series. So fantastic by Ottinger. Huge big saves. Even before that, in those first 2 periods, it could have been 5-1. So I thought he played really well and had some big stops. All right, biggest loser, James.
Biggest loser I'm going to give to the Edmonton PK. I mean, the stat is already that it's going to be bad for them on the penalty kill. But that was pretty atrocious. I mean, it lost them the game. Truly, that's what it was.
Yep. My biggest loser, I'm just going to give it to Edmonton fans. I mean, this was the cockiest fan base we heard going into the playoffs, even more than Colorado. Colorado fans, at least most of them were saying, yeah, it'll probably be a tough series. No, Edmonton was saying 4-5. That's all I was seeing all over the place. And I wasn't even hearing a podcast saying, no, the Stars are frauds. They're just outright bad. I was like, so yeah, incorrect. There you go. Stars up in game 1. Ryan, who's your biggest loser?
My biggest loser is Gemini. I don't know if you saw our little thing from yesterday that I posted, but I think it was my wife. She looked up our 3 names, and apparently Chris is like a professor of cognitive neuroscience at some university. James is like the co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks, and I just have a history of music education. I don't have a cool name tag like Chris and James do, so it's I am kind of jealous of the two of you.
Yeah,
But
James actually is a partial owner of the Atlanta Hawks, though.
I am.
In all reality, though, for me, I got to give it to Thomas Harley, though. He kind of had a very rough game tonight, and honestly, he's allowed to. 1, because Miro Heskanen, we have a Miro Heskanen, and 2, because he has been just absolutely ridiculous in every other game that he's played for months now. And he has been super solid. He's allowed to have an off game every once in a while, especially when the power play particularly kind of bails him out tonight for some of his defensive calls.
And especially since he was getting better, too. I think the speed really just shocked him tonight. I mean,
I think it shocked everybody.
Right, but him especially. His gap control was awful off the rush.
Yes,
I mean, he couldn't do that at all. And then I think the speed was causing him to mishandle pucks and turn him over in his own zone. So I think he's going to be much better with that in the next game, having seen it.
And then also on the Oilers' third goal, it's a missed assignment from him. That's how Bouchard gets so much time. Yep. Bouchard comes off the bench after Harley's man gets off, and Harley got mixed up and covered the wrong dude and left Bouchard wide open. So,
yep. Well, and the other thing I wanted to also mention is that I completely forgot it. Oh well, maybe it'll come back to me. I'm sure it will after we sign off. But wow, that was awkward.
Right.
Never mind.
Well, either way.
Well, I didn't get. Did y'all do a prediction for the series in last episode?
Yeah, we did. I gave Stars and 7. I think Ryan, you did Stars and 7 as well. I think.
You know what I'm going for.
What are you going for?
I'm going for a Stars and 5.
Oh,
I posted
boy.
it in the Discord before the game started.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Just to
be able to make sure and go back.
My other 2 guesses were correct in the last 2 rounds, and I'm swinging for the fences in this one. That's what I'm going with.
James is taking the obnoxious Edmonton fans and just flipping it and throwing it right back in their face. I love it. All right, that'll do it for us tonight, guys. Special thanks to our main sponsor, DraftKings. Be sure to use that promo code THPN when you go over there. Get you some free goodies. They got a new Pick 6 thing over there. You can do that in Texas, so be sure to check that out. Check out Sarcastic Remarks. Sarcasticremarks.com. There it is.
See, it's harder than it looks, right?
You can join the Who Cares Club there, and you can also check out the store, get our little shirt to wear under your jersey. Check out the Discord like James mentioned. I'm sure we'll have tons of memes and clips in there after a game like this tonight. And be sure to subscribe here. We have had a huge jump in subscribers recently. We're trying to get to 1,000 by the time the season's over. We're at like 830 right now. I think we started below 700. So y'all have been crazy.
We started below 600 at the beginning.
We started below 600. So y'all have been crazy. If you only listen on the audio side, do me a special favor. Go find us on YouTube, subscribe, then never open your YouTube again. It's fine. But just do that for us. We want it.
We almost have more subscribers than videos now.
Almost. We're getting there.
The amount of videos we have is ridiculous.
We have 400 or 846 videos. We have 832 subscribers right now.
We will
That
we will
close.
donate. We will give one video per subscriber. That's what we need to do.
That's our goal.
You will own that video. All right. Our next pod's going to be Friday night as the Stars try to get both games at home. And do you guys have any final thoughts before I close it out here tonight?
Edmonton Oilers fans need to be better at rage baiting on X. I spent probably about 4 hours specifically rage baiting 2 Edmonton Oilers fans, and they were not very good at it at all. So
great.
Okay.
Okay.
I was having fun.
Thanks again for listening, guys. Stars win, and it's going to be a series, Oilers fans. GG, boys.